Hello again. Let's continue the tales of Percy Peacock with Chapter 2, Percy's First Adventure. We joined Percy Peacock again on Brownsea Island about 12 weeks after he was born, or hatched, as we say in the bird world. Now, this is how it is with normal baby peacocks. For the first few months they get scared at, well, just about everything. They stay very close to their parents nearly all the time. At the slightest sign of trouble, they run between one of their parents' legs and hide. Generally, you would have to say that they are quite timid, very cautious, real scaredy cats. Well, scaredy birds. Did you notice that I said this is what normally happens? I can tell you this. Normal does not describe Percy in any way at all. There was never anything remotely normal about him. If you'd said to Daddy Peacock, "Would you describe Percy as normal?" he would have said, no, probably not. If you'd said to Mummy Peacock, "Would you describe Percy as normal?" she would have said, no. That is if she was in a good mood. Otherwise, she would have just muttered, nightmare. Total nightmare. 3 months after he was born, Mummy and Daddy Peacock and Percy were nibbling grass by the side of a big open space. When his parents were looking the other way, Percy saw his chance and managed to slip into the undergrowth and wander off. He liked exploring on his own. It was very exciting. He particularly liked the undergrowth too. He was pretty much invisible because the plants were taller than he was. He'd been walking for about 5 minutes when he spotted something very big on the grass at the edge of the field. He immediately thought that he should go and take a look. "Nightmare," he said to himself, "I should go and check this out." His mother had said to him, "You're a nightmare," so often at this stage that he was a bit confused and thought it might be his name. He set off towards the big thing. And when he got there, he was even more puzzled. There seemed to be 2 big things joined together. The first one was red, had 2 very large wheels at the back and 2 smaller ones at the front, and a thing with what looked like lots of sharp knifey type things. He walked all the way around the whole thing twice and still had no idea what it was. It needed more investigation. On top of the large wheels of the red thing there were metal covers, and Percy decided if he could get up on top of one of them, he might be able to see better. He clambered up the side of the very large tyre and on to the mudguard. It was only then that he noticed a man had clambered up the other side and sat on the seat. This was very interesting. Suddenly there was an enormous explosion which made Percy jump about a foot in the air. Actually, although it was very loud, it wasn't an explosion, it was the tractor starting up. But Percy didn't know that. And then suddenly the tractor began to move. Percy had been about to jump off, but now he found himself clinging on for dear life. He looked behind him and to his great surprise saw that they were being followed by a green cloud. As they picked up speed, the green cloud got higher and Percy began to contemplate his options. After a bit of thought, he realised that he only had 2 choices: jump off, which was a bit risky in case he disappeared into the green cloud, or hang on as best he could. While he was thinking about which was the better course of action, he had another idea. Why not try to relax and enjoy himself? It was certainly a very exciting adventure, and he wanted to make the most of it. "Good thinking, Percy," he said to himself. Carefully, he began to concentrate on balancing on the mudguard with more confidence, a little bit like a surfer. He looked behind him and suddenly realised that it wasn't a green cloud, it was grass. The penny finally dropped. They were cutting the grass. The driver obviously hadn't noticed Percy and was concentrating on the job in hand. After a bit, Percy noticed that they were going round in large circles. He began to feel more and more confident about not falling off and started to take in more of the view. And then, to his great joy, in the distance, he saw Mummy and Daddy Peacock. They were at the edge of the field, still feeding. As the tractor approached them, they both looked up. And as the tractor drew level with them, they both saw Percy balancing on the mudguard. As he shot by, he heard Mummy Peacock squawk, "Percy!" And then he was off for another lap of the field. Now he was really enjoying himself. As they went round the field again, Percy noticed that there were actually quite a few people around, and as he passed them, he began to wave to them cheerily with one wing, a bit like the Queen waving her arm from the royal carriage. Some people just looked on in amazement, with their mouths wide open as he went by. Quite a lot of people pointed, and I think it's fair to say that all in all, Percy was causing quite a stir. As he went by his parents for a second time, he waved his wing vigorously, and his father waved back. Had Percy thought about it, the fact that his mother did not wave but just glared might have been seen as a danger sign, but Percy was enjoying himself too much to think about anything other than, "Hey, this is fun." He was now totally confident about his balance, so he thought perhaps he ought to put on a bit of a show. He now experimentally lifted one leg and put both wings out to keep his balance, a bit like you would if you were a tightrope walker. It felt good. And now many of the onlookers around the large grassy area were applauding as he went past. The applause was music to his ears. He loved it. As his confidence grew even more, he saw a little group of people ahead, and as he went past, he pretended he'd lost his balance, and they gasped. At that moment, he felt that his future as a showman was assured. Percy Barnum. As he approached his mummy and daddy again, he got back on one leg to impress them and was just wondering whether to do the pretend to fall trick again when there was a rapid chain of events which were not entirely to his liking. The driver of the tractor happened to glance to his left and for the first time saw Percy. He slammed on the brakes, and as a result, Percy shot into the air. Luckily, he went high enough that when he came down, he was clear of the grass-cutting machinery. Otherwise, this might be where the Percy story ended. He landed with a thump on the ground and immediately swallowed a whole load of cut grass, some of which also went into his eyes. By the time he'd stopped coughing and could see again, he couldn't help but notice that his mother was standing looking down at him with a less than loving expression. She shook her head slowly and uttered just one word. What do you think it was? Correct. Nightmare.